Hey everyone, Jay Whitner here with Space Headlines. We do a quick recap every week of what's new in the space universe, and today we're going to be talking about the first week of October 2018. Our first item is an upcoming movie called First Man. This is all about the first trip to the moon, focused on Neil Armstrong and his life, and of course, Buzz Aldrin and Michael Collins, or I'm sure represented, although I haven't seen the movie yet. Comes out on Friday the 12th. And some things you might want to bear in mind. It's gotten a very high rating from the reviewers on the Rotten Tomatoes website, 88%, which is very, very high. And it has the starring role. Neil Armstrong is played by Ryan Gosling, who's had a lot of work lately and has been a popular actor. So everybody, let's turn out on Friday night and have a big opening weekend for First Man. Astronomers have found a dwarf planet that's pretty large, I would say, for something we were unaware of, 186 miles across. This dwarf planet is nicknamed the Goblin, and it's way out in the solar system beyond the Pluto region, about twice as far as Pluto. And what they're saying is this is additional evidence for the planet X that people keep talking about, a large body far out from the sun that we've not yet located. But evidence continues to mount that there is such a planet, that they are coming to this conclusion from the orbits of other items. They appear to be influenced by something larger. Lockheed Martin was in the news. They came out with a proposal for a very large lunar lander that's fully reusable. And I really like that part, the reusable aspect of it. The cargo that it would carry would include 4 people, plus roughly 1 ton of cargo could be transported to and from the lunar surface. And the facility itself, the lander, has habitation room for 4 astronauts for 2 weeks on the lunar surface before they need to return. So I guess my concern is that it's much larger than it needs to be, because it also has this large habitation space to support astronauts for an extended period. I think it would make more sense to have a unit that was more focused on just taking people to and from, cargo to and from, without the habitation space. It would seem that could make it a lot smaller than the current version, and also something that was perhaps based very early on the moon's surface for refueling, as opposed to being refueled at the gateway area. There's a company in Atlanta called SpaceWorks that's doing some very intriguing research on hibernation for spaceflight. And what they're talking about is doing sort of long naps, hibernation periods of 2 weeks in length, such that your voyage to Mars would be several instances of hibernation during the journey, with waking periods in between. This is the term, the duration that they feel comfortable with their ability to reach. They're confident they can get to 2-week safe hibernation for the astronauts. This does a lot of things. It certainly takes down on the tedium for the people making the journey to and from, because it is a long trip. But it reduces the amount of consumables that you need. You can have a smaller vessel. So there's a lot of benefits to having what the golden age science fiction people sometimes call cold sleep for the trip to Mars. So disappointing news out of NASA regarding commercial crew. The target date has been pushed back once again for the first crewed flights for the commercial crew program. What we're looking at now is the very first crewed flight is targeted for mid-2019. We're talking about June. This will be the SpaceX version. The Boeing version, their timetable looks a few months past that. I believe they were saying August, I think, for the Boeing plan. So this is continuing to stretch out, and we're going to have space station issues if it stretches much further than it already has. So it seems like it may be time for us to sit down with the Russians and talk about buying some more flights to hedge this whole situation. Boeing is doing some work on the Space Launch System at NASA direction. What NASA has requested is they try to take a look at the advanced version of the Space Launch System. For the backstory on this, the initial Space Launch System has 3 flights of the initial configuration. Then beginning with Flight 4, there's a more advanced version. That's the one that we're talking about. They want to adjust the advanced version so it can carry 1 or 2 more tons of cargo up to the Gateway facility out by the moon. So the issue, I guess, is by the time you put into account the weight of the Orion capsule and the associated hardware that goes with the capsule, you know, there's I think 10 tons of weight left to carry cargo up to that location, and they'd really like to move from 10 tons to 12 tons. It seems like it might be worthwhile to also investigate having some cargo-only missions that don't use the Orion capsule. Maybe that's an alternative answer to that. SpaceX had some excitement, and they did their first Falcon 9 landing on California. They've launched Falcon 9s out west before. They've landed Falcon 9s out west, but the prior landings were on a drone ship at sea. This landing was on California proper at the Vandenberg Air Force Base. It was a big, exciting event. You may have seen imagery online about people who took video and stills of the launch and the landing, and a lot of excitement out in California. The rocket was a Block 5 version of the Falcon 9. It was the second flight for this particular rocket. And one of SpaceX's goals is to have one of these individual Block 5 rockets fly 3 or 4 times by the end of the year, perhaps this one here. The current mission was a satellite for Argentina for Earth imaging. That was what this mission was all about. That's it for Space Headlines, covering the first week of October 2018. Hope you enjoyed our show. Check back with us in a week or so, and we'll talk about the second week of October. And we'll see you then.